guys, I finally made it out the reading slump. Are you proud of me? But on a more serious note, guys, what's up? Long time no see. I am really happy to be back here. I'm really happy to talk about my 2024 and the rest of 2024. Honestly, I'm really excited. Let's just jump into this. And we are going to start with the books that I have already talked about on this channel. Starting with The Heartthrob, The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. I gave this book 5 stars, but every time I think I'm ready to reread it, my heart just says no. Because like I said in the video, this book was heavy. We go on an adventure with Eden from her freshman year, when her assault happened, just before freshman year in high school, all the way up to her senior year. And we watch her go through these changes, the good and the bad. We watch her pick up these behaviors, the good and the bad, and we just watch her break. When I say break, we watch her break, because everything she knew, shattered, gone, and she's kind of forced to grow up in a way that she didn't want to grow up too fast. You know, it's kind of broken innocence in a sense with this book. However, this was a 5-star read. This makes me cry when I think about it. Like, this was such a beautifully written book. 5 stars. And then for our next one, we travel into the mystery world with One of Us is Lying, which also brings me to my most recent finished book, which is the sequel, One of Us is Next. Honestly, both of these books are 5 stars. Now, the Bayview 4 are in the sequel, but they are not the main characters anymore, which I honestly appreciate, because we didn't completely disregard them, but now we're focusing on a different set of people. We're focusing on the younger kids, the aftermath of, you know, Simon. And the theme for both of these books is you don't know until you know. Because baby, I was sitting here, I thought I was putting the right clues together. I thought I was coming up with the right theories. All I'm gonna say is you don't know until you know. Both of these books were 5 stars. I can't wait to read the 3rd book in the series. I loved it. It was great. It was great. And then we travel into a category that I have just recently found an appreciation for: romantasy. First off, I'm not the biggest romance girly. For the first time, romance, this book, it did it. I don't hate romance, before y'all bash me. It's just not my cup of tea. But A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, and it's a bit mythology, because we're talking about Persephone's and Hades. Loved it. 5 stars. And then with this book, we meet Persephone's when she is still under her mother's thumb. Her mother watches everything she does. She has really no control over her life. Her mother lets her think she has freedom, but she has spies watching Persephone's everywhere. And Persephone's decides to sneak out and go to Hades' club, somewhere she's not supposed to be. And then who do we meet? Other than Hades himself, of course. And then Persephone's, being the smart and wise one she is, doesn't realize she's making a deal with Hades until after the deal is done. And then the rest of the book, we are just dealing with those consequences. We're falling in love. It gave me mystery, it gave me drama, romance. It was beautiful. 5 stars. I really can't wait to finish this series. It's in there on that embarrassingly long TBR list, but we digress. And then we travel to a more fiction. There's no romance in this. It's fiction. However, I think it's a self-help book, and I think everybody needs to read this book, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I'm gonna tell you, this when I started this book, I started it as an audiobook, but I had to get the physical copy and read it for myself. Because as I was listening to Miss Nora, who has just killed herself, and we are transported into the Midnight Library, a place between life and death, we are just constantly walking with her through these possibilities of what could have happened, what she could have done, all the choices she could have made, and the outcome of what those choices could have been. And as somebody who constantly asks, what if I had done this? What if I had done this earlier? What if I didn't do this at all? What if I didn't say this at all? Like a whole bunch of what if questions. I think everybody needs to read this book, because as she's walking through this midnight library, Miss Elm, the librarian, is guiding her. And I think everybody needs a Miss Elm in their life, because we look at Nora and the way she evolves through this story. Because when we meet her, she is depressed and full of regrets. And then we travel with her through these journeys, looking at how her life could have been, looking at all the outcomes, and she's realizing everything is not what it seems. Like, you think the grass is greener on the other side, and it's probably not. But I think everybody needs to read this book. It's a beautiful book. 5 stars. And then we travel into the fiction, fantasy side of things with All Our Hidden Gifts by Coraline O'Donoghue. I really hope I said your name right. But yes, Miss Coraline O'Donoghue, All Our Hidden Gifts. I'm not gonna lie, they got me with the tarot cards and the tarot pictures. I bought this book because of the cover. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a 4-star read for me. It was a good book. It was a good read, because what's happening is our main character, Maeve Chambers, she finds a set of tarot cards. And everything gets weird. And it's weird in a beautiful, mystery, magical kind of way. Because we meet an old friend, Lily O'Connor. I really hope I said that right. But we meet an old friend, and we have another disagreement in which we wish she would disappear. And Shorty disappeared. And we just spend time trying to find her, figure out who we are and why these tarot cards are giving us powers. It was a fun read. But the only reason this book is getting 4 stars is because I like my 5-star pile just a little bit more. Would I recommend it? Yes. Would I read the sequel to it? Yes. I just like the other books more. But this was a very good read, and I really did appreciate this book. It was good. And then this next book we're gonna talk about to wrap up 2024, we are going to talk about a dive, literally a scuba diving team. And it's a mystery, it's a thriller, suspense kind of horror, From Below by Darcy Coates. Now, For a second, I was confused. And for a second, I was disappointed. And I wanted to give this book 3 stars. However, I'm going to give this book 4 stars because the suspense was great. The story was great. We're talking about a scuba diving team looking for a ship that was supposed to dock, never docked. We never found it. The scuba diving team found it, and we're just watching this boat mess with our heads. We're coming back to life. And it's, the buildup was intense, and it was great. But when we got to the finale, the action, I just wanted a little bit more. Because the buildup was great. And at first, I didn't like going back and forth between the present and the past. But as I was reading, I was like, okay, there's a point to this. And this makes sense. And it's actually building on our story. Because the past is explaining the present. All that good jazz, right? But yeah, the final, I just want a little bit more. Like, at least give me 5 more minutes of action. But from what this was, it was good. Would I read it again? You know what? I'm not going to say I wouldn't read it again. I'm just going to have to convince myself to read it again. And that is all the books for 2024. And now we dive into the TBR list for September of 2024, aka the books that I have already started and have not yet finished. Starting with a TikTok heartthrob favorite, If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. I really hope I said your name right. I'm terrible with names. So far, from what I have gathered and what I have read and what I have seen on TikTok, Finney's not going to make it. And it breaks my heart because I am about 100 pages in. And we're doing that thing that teenagers do when they get older. You think you're best friends forever in elementary school. Middle school comes along, you realize you have a little bit different interests. And then high school comes along, then you have nothing in common anymore. However, Finney and Autumn's mother are best friends. So while they're drifting apart, their moms are like, we still close. So we're watching them grow and drift apart, but kind of stay together. So far, I thought the beginning was slow, for me, personally. But as I kept reading, the drama got more dramaful. It was good. So we're going to see how it ends. From what I hear on TikTok, we're breaking hearts. I'm really trying to not cry with this book. We're going to see what happens. And then this next book was sent to me by my grandmother, and it is called The Crow Trap by Anne Cleves. And apparently, someone has committed suicide. And our friend Rachel, she can't believe it. She said, what's going on here? There's a mystery at play. I'm not gonna lie. I just stopped being confused. And I'm on page, 64? And I'm trying. But this is a mystery. And when I know more, you'll know more. So that's that one. And then for my final TBR for September, I did a blind date with a book. And this is a horror book. And it says, in an attempt to make sense of his own mystery and unsettling childhood memories. A man begins to reconstruct his past as the games and adventures of his youth become engulfed by a larger story. He finds that it forms a tapestry of unbelievable horror that he never could have expected. Each chapter completes a different piece of the puzzle for both you and the narrator, and by the end of it all, you will wish that you could forget what he never knew. Spooky. Honestly, you want to talk about attention grabbers? I think I read the first 3 chapters and I was on the edge of my seat for all 3. I'm not gonna lie, this book right here is shaping up to be my favorite out of the 3. So, but yeah, that is all I have for you today. When I finish these books, I will come back, I will talk about them, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, rest of your night. I hope you drink your coffee and it's just right. Much love. Bye, man.